within the first 5 to 7 minutes of the, and again, in this case, Medicare sales call, but in overall, any interaction you have. So this is an underrated part of the sales process, just because most people think of sales, or when they think of closing, they think of different techniques, right? But it all starts with the work. You do the work early, and that's where the greeting or the intro comes in. So again, sales is about fixing problems, but in order for us to even get to a point where we can find what problem somebody's having, then we have to go through the introduction. So let's go ahead and step into this part of the sales process. So what you'll learn today is real easy: how to establish call control, how to set expectations and drive the call forward, key soft skills for connection and authority, and common early mistakes that agents or salespeople make and how to avoid them. And then lastly, how to handle any roadblocks that come up. And again, roadblocks is going to be a lot different than an actual objection, and we'll get into it. So, first 5 to 10 minutes of a interaction is going to decide whether you're in control of the call or if the client's in control of the call. So this is a key part of the sales process. Like I was saying before, whether you're doing, getting warm transfers or warm leads, or you're making outbound calls or door knocking, it's usually made up, or any intro is typically made up of the same things. So a greeting of some kind, maybe collecting some demographic information, setting expectations or the goal for what the call is going to be. But because of that, this can be the most fragile part of the sales process. So especially in Medicare sales, where the marketing can sometimes throw the client off when they first get on the phone. Uh, and also because it's a regulated industry where you're going to have disclosures that you have to read, which is going to invite clients to interrupt you or cut you off. So tone, pace, confidence are all things that you want to consider in this part of the call. For you as a salesperson, this is going to be, some of your bread and butter, right? Your goal is going to be to establish call control and then drive the call effectively through the sales process. So establishing call control. So call control is your ability to grab the reins of the conversation and guide it where it needs to go. Right. So how do you gain that? So you want to speak clearly and you want to set expectations or the agenda for what the call is going to be. But ultimately, you're going to also want to have a good understanding of your client or your company's scripting and what that sales process kind of looks like. Because if you don't know where you're going to go or what's next in the conversation, then your client is also not going to go, know what's next in the conversation. So really important not to talk in circles and have a clear path to where you want to go. Stay calm when you're interrupted, because you will get interrupted, especially when you're on the phone, because you're interrupting somebody's day. Even door knocking, you're interrupting somebody's day. So it's really important for you to stay calm when you are objected. So um, now use transitions when you move through each phase. You don't want it to rush, or you don't want it to, it's a conversation at the end of the day. It's a structured one, but it's a conversation. So try not to be too customer service like by answering the questions in the beginning of the call. Answer it in a simple way, and then move the call, move the conversation to where it needs to go. Like I said, you need to know your company scripting. Now, that's what giving up call control can kind of look like being a little too customer service like, answering the client's questions a little too early, and not establishing what the goal or the agenda of the call is going to be. Because again, the issue is, what once the client gets the information they're looking for, then what's the reason they have to stay on the phone? That's what we have to be, professionals when it comes to this, and really study our craft. And again, this is something that I've picked up on in my time in sales. So some things that you want to keep in mind, again, like we talked about, giving up call control too early by being customer service like, you want to stay away from that. So drive the call, don't let the call drive you. So driving the call doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't. Or driving the conversation itself doesn't have to be difficult. Like I said before, the biggest part is understanding and knowing your scripting. If you're going to move the call forward, you need to know where you're going to go next. So set expectations on the call. This is going to give a clear path for what's going to happen next. It's going to be very helpful for not just you, but for the client to know what to expect next. This way, you gain a little bit of trust by doing so. So it has a lot of benefits. Has a lot of benefits. So Uh, Again, that's the setting expectations. So telling the client what's going to happen before it happens builds a lot of trust, but it positions you also as the authority on the call. So it provides a little bit of a structure, and this again, all of this is are reasons as to why the setting expectations is helpful. Um, but you come off as the professional also, right? Like it's a great way to establish who you are, what you're about on the phone call. So again, I just came from Aruba recently on a company trip. So one thing that really stood out to me, or that I remembered, was the pilot. So the pilot typically lets you know before the plane takes off what to expect, when they're going to turn off that fasten seatbelt sign, and how high we are up in the air. And before we descend, they kind of come on the intercom again. But again, you're setting expectations for what to expect or what the agenda is going to be, and that way you're not caught off guard. So really, really helpful tool or tactic. So soft skills that build trust fast. So some of the best agents I know, whether I trained them myself personally or just that I've been around or worked with, are ones that are great with conversation. I can't tell you enough how helpful it is to be a good speaker or able to converse and convey your message effectively. People gravitate towards you, and you're able to kind of again establish that control of the call, and you're a lot less likely to get objected or interrupted once you've demonstrated that. So speak with a warm tone, excuse me. Listen effectively or actively. Um, and again, I think building rapport is also going to be a great tool. Coming across as likable, like I said, speaking well and enunciating is going to be helpful. So for me, when I used to build rapport, when I was on the phones or when I was door knocking, I tried to use sports. I'm a big sports guy. Go Eagles, go Birds all day. But when I was a door to door salesman, I was in Long Island, New York, which is Jets or Giants country for football, but Islanders, they love hockey as well. So when I was doing door knocking, I would try to make sure I can incorporate that, excuse me, into what I'm talking about. But again, if it's football season, if it's basketball season, baseball, I'm going. No matter where that client is speaking to me from, I have a little bit of sports knowledge from just about any state, so I can carry that conversation. Speaking with a smile, underrated technique. I love it. Pausing after key questions. Uh, mm, it's helpful to pause after you ask the question. You don't want to ask two questions back to back. What's your name? Where you from? Like, I wouldn't do anything like that. Ask one question at a time. But again, speaking with a smile, building rapport. These are all really good soft skills that you can use. So let's talk about what not to do in the first 5 minutes of the call. So talking too fast or too much, underrated, but don't want to do that. A clear expectation, or excuse me, a clear direction of where you're gonna go. Having a bad tone or being or rushing. You don't want to put yourself in that position. Now, clients are going to give you some pushback during different parts of your conversations. That's a natural part of sales. It happens in any sales organization, industry, whatever the case may be. It's going to happen. Now, nobody likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy. Everybody likes to buy. Remember that. So, a roadblock is not the same as a real objection. It's not. But let's talk about how we can deal with some roadblocks. So, a roadblock is anytime somebody, when you're going through your process in the beginning, and they try to object you or interrupt you, they're trying to roadblock you so they can get away from that interaction. That's all it is, just a tactic by the client. But let's talk about how we can avoid roadblocks. So being proactive. This is why again I talk about understanding your scripting. Because if you understand your scripting, if you take enough reps, meaning phone calls or different interactions, you'll get an understanding of where you're going to get objected and how. So then you want to tailor your process to overcome that objection before it has a chance to be used against you. Really, really helpful tactic. Now, when you're reactive, that means that you don't, set expectations beforehand. So once you finish whatever your area of the introduction where you might get objected, and the client does in fact object you, now you're being reactive. You have to have something rock solid to say. So there are different things that you can use to your advantage, but I always recommend being proactive. It's just a really, really helpful technique. So let's talk about the greeting, right? So establish call control, set expectations, build rapport, underrated. Handle those roadblocks early by being proactive. Really, really great tool. I'm telling you guys, if you're able to, consistently apply these four things, I think the introduction of the greeting phase of the interaction is going to be, easy, easy peasy for you. So conclusion here. So you need a perfect pitch. There's no such thing. I mean, you can make something sound really, really good, but like I tell my team, the script is like a movie script, but the actors have to bring life to the words. So bring life to the words. Just need a little bit of structure to do so. And then again, master those first 5 minutes with confidence, and the rest of the call gets easier. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you on the next slide for the evaluation of needs.